Hey, what's up, guys? I got another great interview here with Captain Berz. We're going to talk about the disarming the anti-gun arguments. Captain Berz, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me tonight.
So the question that I ask everybody is, what do you think is the greatest threat to gun rights right now in the United States?
Well, I think it's a complex question. I think that equally it's, the gun owners versus, gun control advocates. I think both sides kind of have proportionally, part of the issue. As much as, gun control advocates have their side of things, I think, the NRA has kind of given people and like groups has given, gun owners a sense of security. And I think if you go back to the 40s and before, whereas people would be more involved in the process. I think the NRA kind of gives them that ability to be like, hey, I'm going to pay my money. I'm not going to be as involved as I could be.
Oh,
Um, I also feel as though the police industrial complex, before police were, where they are now, it gives them, again, a sense of security for the gun control advocates. So
mhm.
they kind of have that sense of security where, like, why do I need a gun? Because I have the police everywhere. They're doing all these stops and all this stuff. And I think that gives them a sense of security where they don't need a gun. They don't understand guns. So I can kind of see both sides of the equation there.
That's a really good point about the NRA. I didn't really think about it like that, but yeah, basically we are subcontracting out to the NRA to kind of be our watchdog in the political side of things. We're not actively involved ourselves anymore.
Yeah, I'm not saying everyone isn't because there are
Sure,
a large
sure.
majority of people are, but I think to a point, and I've heard it from a lot of people, hey, you just need to pay and pay your dues, so to say.
Right.
And they're not as actively involved as they could be. I think for probably half and half is probably what
Sure.
it goes.
But yeah, I mean, it's a point nonetheless that there's some percentage of people that thinks just by paying their money, that's good enough, right? And actually, we need to be more proactive, not so
Yeah.
much apathetic to the process,
Yeah, I
right?
think you gotta look at both sides of the equation, and I think a lot of people can kind of get one-sided on things, and they'll look at the gun control advocates as the main problem. But I think you gotta do a little inward looking. What was it like 3 years ago where we had all those everybody was at state capitals and they were involved in stuff, and I had a really good feeling at that point.
Right.
Uh, and then it kind of what happened since then. Is where the question is.
And it seems like there has to be like an active threat on the horizon for anybody to really mount up.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we kind of just go into this holding pattern because everybody goes off and they have fun shooting their guns. We
Right.
enjoy shooting guns, so when we're out
Yeah.
shooting guns, we're not so much worried about the danger that's looming, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there has to be danger on the horizon. President Obama has to be in his last year of office.
Right.
Every year in office, there's this bill, there's that bill. There's always all kinds of bills that are out there. But yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. If you go back, it was a T tax and a stamp tax that really kicked things off way back in the day.
Hmm.
And nowadays, look at all the taxation, everything we have, and we're still just paying the NRA and other company or other lobbyists and such to kind of be the majority mouthpiece. Where I think gun owners could do themselves a great service by either going to their state capitals and writing letters in mass. You
Yeah.
know,
It's funny. So we're getting taxed on record levels, and then we're electing to pay another tax in the form of giving the NRA money to
right?
help
Yeah,
us fight the taxes that are already
yeah,
overbearing. That's
exactly.
that's also a really good point. I didn't think about it like that either. That's pretty crazy. You mentioned like law enforcement. So
Yeah.
you think people have gotten comfortable with the idea that the police are going to protect you, so they're less inclined to protect themselves? Is that your feeling?
Yeah, I think from the gun control aspect of it, or the anti-gunners as people would call them,
Hmm.
I think one portion of it is that police come across, and they are very much so highly involved in the lives of us. Many different ways. Since the advent of the car, police have become increasingly involved in our everyday life. And
Right.
I think that's kind of given people a sense of security. Oh, they're going to make sure that people don't text and drive. They're going to make sure that people don't drink and drive. They're going to make sure that they have these checkpoints, and they're going to check and make sure everything is good. If I call them, they're going to come and save me. Whereas, unless you're in that situation, you realize that they're 8 minutes away, and
Right.
they're not going to be there the majority of the time.
Right. And just because they stop somebody for a Bluetooth or talking on the phone, that doesn't mean they're going to stop you from getting assaulted.
Right,
Like
right,
that.
exactly.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's an interesting point, too. Well,
Yeah.
so with all those observations you've made, what do you think is how we can kind of right the ship and correct or possibly fight against that apathy or that issue you're talking about?
I don't have all the answers.
Sure,
I
sure.
don't, I'm not the kind of person that has a God complex to a degree, but and we've had these discussions a long time
Yeah,
ago and
yeah.
stuff.
No,
But
but I mean, what you're like, what would you do personally? Not necessarily force on others, but what would you do?
yeah, I think the best thing to do is actually to listen to others and listen to their perspectives on things. I think a lot of time we kind of shut people down initially. What if you're on the internet enough, you see all these memes and everything like that, and you can kind of see people just shut people down. They say, you know what, this is what it is, or this is what it is, or even I do it at times with, hey, these are the facts, and I try to do fact driven things, but I think listening to each other and kind of persuading the other side to understand your point is definitely a way to go. I don't like force, like you talked
Oh
about. That
yeah,
maybe that's a whole libertarian view kind of thing that we agree
absolutely.
on, but I think persuasion and understanding that what we were founded on is definitely something that I think should be talked about a little bit more. And I'm kind of sad to see that in the mainstream it's not talked about that much as far as where we came from and the fact that a tax stamp and a stamp tax and a T tax is where we started, and look at all the taxes we have now in relation to guns.
Right. So it's more of a pushing for the soft skills to kind of handle your. I guess it goes back to the what's the book, how to win friends and influence people. You have to determine what
Yeah,
it is that
exactly.
that people are. What is their horse that they're going after? Like, what's their important issue? And once you understand that, you're better equipped to frame the argument in a way that hits their values, all those touch points, if you will. Is that kind of where you're going?
Exactly. Exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
you look at like carrying a gun. So if you say to someone who's like anti-gunner, um, you know, um, what's wrong with carrying a gun? Why do you feel like that's an issue? If you just said to everyone in the United States, hey, everyone can carry a gun. If you're a criminal, you're going to carry a gun.
Right.
Or if you're just a regular, everyday, ordinary citizen, you're going to carry a gun. And they'd probably say something like, well, if you carry a gun, then there's going to be more murders. It's just inherently people with guns are bad and they're going to murder people.
Right.
That's probably what would be said. But, your counter argument, here's something crazy I thought of today. Condoms are carried by so many men. Like millions of men carry
Yeah.
condoms every day.
Yeah.
And millions of times they're used consensually.
Sure.
But at times they are used in rape. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that every man that's carrying a condom is going to rape someone.
But they have the tools to rape.
Right. They're carrying the tools.
Right. That's good, man. That's really
You know what I
good.
mean?
Yeah. I like that.
So I think, honestly, I think it comes back to common sense.
Mhm.
Not everyone that carries a gun is a bad person. And honestly, it could assist you in some way in the future as far as an anti-gunner goes.
Right. Oh, that's
Hey, you don't like to carry a gun, but I do like to carry a gun and for my safety. And what if we were in a situation that there was a bad person around us? I would gladly, you being an anti-gunner, you don't want to carry a gun, defend you. A lot
right.
of people would say, I don't want to defend anti-gunners and they can just die or whatever. And
Yeah, that's
I
not the
think
right
that's
way
the
to go
wrong way
either.
to
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah. But so the thing is when you talk to somebody who's anti-gun or anti-carry, it's always the same argument. I'm okay with you carrying. I'm worried about those unwashed prolies over here that we haven't vetted that are allowed to carry. That's the stuff I always get. I always get
Yeah,
oh no, we like you. You can carry. But we don't like that asshole, right? There's
yeah,
always some like tiered level of rights accessibility that anti-gunners have. Or just people who are bent against people
right,
having rights, right? You know what I
right.
mean?
And honestly, carrying a gun inherently, there's no problem with it until you either have a negligent discharge,
Hmm.
or until you shoot someone with it. Until it's actually used in some form or fashion,
Hmm.
there's nothing. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
There's no crime. You're not doing any harm to anyone.
Right.
And I think that's something that's missed by anti-gunners.
Well, yeah, because they villainize the object instead of the human. I think
Yeah.
everybody understands that.
Now, I don't really have an answer to that
No, no, because it's just a thing.
though.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you summed up your point perfectly. That was a really good interview that covers exactly what I'm aiming to do here. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Anytime you want to talk about a subject, let me know.
Absolutely. I love the idea. We lost the ability to do the video reply to each other.
I know. I still say it at the end of my videos, though.
Yeah, and but now it's like, well, what's stopping us from just getting on the video
Yeah.
together and doing it live or whatever? And so this is kind of my attempt to do that with as many people as possible. So I appreciate you being involved in the project.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I like it. It's nice, quick to the point, and probably under 8 minutes.
Yeah, well, yeah, hopefully that's the goal. Anyway, if you want to be involved in this, all you got to do is send me a message at hoshnasi@gmail.com. And again, Captain Berz, you probably are following him if you're following me, but I'm going to put his channel down below in the description. You can check him out. Does great reviews. I go to him usually first if it's something I'm looking for, so make sure you check him out, guys.